On today's episode,
I think the world is changing so much to try and plan for 10 years. So our purpose is to protect the future of our clients and our people. I think to learn resilience, and nobody who has succeeded has done so with a fair amount of failure along the way. How can we make sure that we are really clear what the client wants? So, I have always viewed myself as a custodian of this business. I've been managing partner a few years now, and my aim has always been to build this business to be bigger and stronger than when I inherited it, to hand it over to the next generation.
So Helen, welcome to the Cheshire Centurion podcast.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
You're very welcome. Before we get started today, I'd love to know a little bit more about the business. Tell us a bit about what you do.
We're WR partners, so we are accountants, business and tax advisors geographically across Cheshire, Shropshire, Mid and North Wales, really specialise in that family-owned business, whether that's in the rural or that's more in the commercial corporate space.
Very good. Interesting. And we were just talking off air there for a second, and you mentioned the purpose of the business and how important it was for you and for the business. Tell us a bit more about that.
I guess as the business has evolved, and we are a very long-standing business, and we have gone through certainly one reset. The one thing that we were really clear to do was around how do we focus on the future. So our purpose is to protect the future of our clients and our people. And so everything that we do, all of our service offerings, all of whether it's the events that we are running or our interactions are around how can we ensure that we know what our clients are wanting to achieve, what are their goals, and then how can we enable them to achieve them. But likewise, from a people perspective, how can we make sure that we're really making decisions to make sure the business is here longer term and that we can protect our people's future.
I love that. How big's the team?
We've got 240 employees.
Well, that doesn't happen by accident, does it?
No. No.
Looking after your team is hugely important, isn't it? I mean, tell us a little bit more about that. How do you go about that with a business that size?
The word I would use is a lot of structure, a lot of cadence, and a lot of communication. Those are the three things that I really focus on. So the structure in terms of from a planning perspective, we use EOS, so there's a lot of structure around it. Every team has their plan, which aligns with the business plan. But then we have lots of cadence around whether it's monthly meetings they'd have with me or their weekly pulse meetings. I have quarterly communication meetings. So we just have a very clear rhythm. And that rhythm is to make sure that we remain on track. So we have the goals. Are we on track? Great. If we're not, okay, how do we get back on track? One of my favourite questions is, okay, so how can I help? What do I need? As from a leadership perspective, it is just around, helping your team to achieve the goals that are either on an individual, on a team, on a business level we've set.
So you mentioned EOS there, which I'm familiar with. So it's the Entrepreneur Operating System. Yeah. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, and we came at it by default almost. And the business was growing. I think we realised that the way in which we'd operated, there probably wasn't enough structure. The one thing I would say about the people in our teams, they want to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the operating system just gives you a structure for that. So you have a traction plan. It talks a lot about the rhythm, doesn't it, of, I've mentioned pulse meetings, and we work in 90-day cycles. So once we have a year plan, we then bring that back to 90 days. Even globally, I don't look any more than 3 years. Personally, and it's a personal view, I think the world is changing so much to try and plan for 10 years. It just becomes a little bit nebulous almost. So I keep it quite short term. But our 3 years is about, and literally is, what will the business look like? As opposed to the numbers. But to me, the most important thing from a visionary perspective is what will it look like? What will it feel like? And all those numbers are the outputs.
I think those 90-day sprints are really important, and there is a huge overlap between EOS and the kind of work that I do. We operate in 90-day sprints as well, but get that right and that pulse, that rhythm that you talked about, hugely powerful.
Yeah, because also, we can focus on 90 days, can't we? 90 days feels manageable. And at the end of 90 days, we recognise what we've done, we achieve what we celebrate what we've achieved, and then we go again.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you for that. There's a lot of takeaways there for anybody listening as well. So going back to your clients, you said that the success of your clients is important as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that, Helen.
Yeah, and we have a very varied client base. So for some of our clients, particularly I would say in the rural landed estate space, they have a lot of objectives around legacy quite often, and there's a generational aspect to it. So it's understanding that's what their goal is and helping them achieve that. That's what success would look like. For other of our clients, it might be exit, and they want to maximize the value of their business. Mm-hmm. And therefore we help them achieve that as well. So it's, to me, it's about asking the questions and being sufficiently close with our clients so that we know, I guess, what success looks like. That is always a personal definition, isn't it? We all have our own definition of success. So let's not assume a success, and then really work with them, whether that is, for some, they want to see us annually. For some, want to see us quarterly or monthly. And we just put those steps in place to make sure that happens.
That's really interesting. And, almost a fresh approach, because traditionally, and please take this the right way, Helen, the accountant is, here's your numbers, I've submitted them to the HMRC. This is how much you owe them this year.
Yep.
And that's kind of it. But, we are seeing accountants get more involved in business decisions all the time. I can see it happening. How important is that to have that relationship with your accountant?
And I think it's splitting what I call the compliance. You have to, don't you submit your, you have to submit your accounts to Companies House. So that has to be done. But one of the things I will often talk to my teams about is if we are talking to a client about profit, which is a historical number, it's too late for them to do something about it. Whereas actually what you want to be able to do is to have the information where you can, if a change is needed, you can advise them in terms of how to make their business more successful or more profitable, more on an ongoing basis. And of course, technology is making that more possible, because the other thing we shouldn't lose sight of is with digitization, with how the accounting world is moving. I think the real positive part of that is you can provide more real-time information because you have it from the client, and therefore it's picking up the trends and proactively advising clients, which is what more and more clients are wanting.
And how do you get involved in the decision making and the strategy sessions with the client? Is that something that you do?
Yeah, so we and I would say we're still continuing to develop that. We talk about a rediscovery process. So we talk about almost at the end of each cycle, having a rediscovery call with the client.
Good call.
Actually, what do you want to achieve in the next 12 months, and what are your wants from us to do that? So I think it is a structure where you need to do it. I think that rediscovery process is really helping because we're not assuming, and the size the business are, it has lots of advantages because we have lots of service lines. Mm-hmm. We can provide great tax advice, great financial advice. We can do your compliance, your management accounts, but it needs pulling together. So it's from a client's perspective, and we need to improve it further. I would absolutely say that, but it's around, okay, how can we make sure that we are really clear what the client wants? And yes, some of our clients want more advice than others, mm-hmm. but it's having a service that will change as the client's wants and needs change too. So one size does no longer fits all.
I like that. I like it a lot. It's different. It's fresh. I think it's coming to the point where it's almost demanded now, though. That as business owners, we should have that information. We should have it so we can make educated choices and build our strategies.
But that's what I do, because I say, from our business perspective, as managing partner, the work that my finance director does for me, effectively, I'm wanting real-time information. So we're making decisions monthly, not annually. Mm-hmm. So it's enabling our clients, if they want to, and there's always a choice in it, to be able to do the same.
So as managing partner, you obviously spend a lot of time thinking about work. How do you maintain a work-life balance as a managing partner? Do you have any personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated and focused?
In answer to your first question, not always terribly well.
Not the first time I've heard that either, Helen, to be honest.
Not terribly well. And part of that is, I think when you love what you do, it's very easy to kind of throw yourself into it. The ritual I do try to do is I do try and do 15 minutes yoga in the morning. So I do try and get up early enough to do 10 or 15 minutes yoga. And it depends, if I'm traveling some mornings, it's more difficult. That just kind of gets me ready for the day. That's the only ritual that I try to put into place.
Well, I like the sound of that, getting your mind ready. You stretch your body to stretch the mind.
Yes.
And I think maybe I should do some more yoga, but I'd probably get stuck in a pose and not make it work at all.
It's also quiet time, isn't it? Because, I have a family too. Actually what you find is there's lots of demands on your time, isn't there? And actually you often don't get lots of time by yourself. There's lots of time. So it's just that investment of time.
And do you have anything you do when you get home at night or, to reset?
I'm not allowed to take a glass of wine, am I?
Yes. Of course you are. I think for me, when I close my laptop, I think that's the hard stop for me. And I'm definitely a morning person. I'm not an evening person. So I take the dog for a walk and have a glass of wine. That's the hard stop for me.
Yeah, we're all different. I mean, I really do try, actually. And I would rather work in the office later. Mm-hmm. And then I do try then to go home and not pick up my laptop again. Of course, there's the odd occasion, but it's just that routine. And it probably came from actually when my children were much, much younger, that said, actually, then you're not taking your laptop out of your bag. But I think, like probably lots of busy people, it's just I like to spend time with family, catch up with the family on the day. We've always dinner together as a family, and we sit around a table and have done that since my girls were very, very small, and that's always been an absolute ritual. And it's a ritual that even now we still keep.
Well, I think there's a lot to be taken from that. Very, very cool. Very cool indeed. Listen, we're in a constantly evolving business landscape. You said, beyond 3 years. Well, I think any plan that long is probably usually in draft. Mm-hmm. How do you stay adaptable and open to change? Are there any specific strategies you use to sort of remain innovative?
I mean, I get out of the business as much as I can. Okay. So whether that is going to conferences, I'm part of some professional networks. I develop a strong professional network, so I have other managing partners that I can contact. I have a business coach who isn't from necessarily the professional services that would challenge me, and I'm a great reader. So I'm a massive reader of kind of business books, and also just reading more generally. I think you have to stay curious. That's the word I would use. I think it's, as a business leader, I think you really have to know what is happening outside of your business, at times outside of your professional world as well, because some of what is impacting or impacts you in your business isn't necessarily totally in the sector in which you're in. Mm-hmm. I think the more curious you can stay, the better.
Some of my clients we've got an event starting today, actually. I'm driving straight after this, and we've got some of the best speakers in the world coming together with about 2,000 business owners, and it's like a rock concert. It's just incredible. And you can see it happening live. You can see people stretching their minds. It's just wonderful. So I 100% agree with you. Always be reading, always be stretching yourself, always be talking to people, even not within your industry, about what's happening. And curious is a beautiful word. I like it. So what's next for the business?
I think we will continue on this journey we've got, particularly around, how we use technology to enhance the service to our clients. Mm-hmm. But I'm running alongside that. I'm doing a lot of work around succession. Mm-hmm. We are a partnership, and we have what I call a legacy model. So, I have always viewed myself as a custodian of this business. I've been managing partner a few years now, and my aim has always been to build this business to be bigger and stronger than when I inherited it, to hand it over to the next generation. So there's a lot we're doing in that succession space, a lot we're doing around what leadership in the future will look like, and how can we use technology to enable our employee experience as our client experience, but go back to the heart, which is have great relationships with our clients and with each other. And I think if you get that right, then, actually it in itself will drive success.
Wow, what a great answer. Thank you so much for being on today, Helen, but I've got one big question left for you. It's the last one.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone thinking about starting their own business, or maybe struggling a little bit? What are the top 3 pieces of advice?
Be brave, I would say. Be brave. I think to learn resilience, and nobody who has succeeded has done so with a fair amount of failure along the way. And the third one I often say is to be kind to yourself.
Be kind to. Tell me more about that.
Because I think we often strive to be better and we strive to do more. And I think sometimes that kindness is just stopping and actually just recognising what you have achieved along the way.
Yeah, reflect, but do it in a kind way. I think we all can be very self-critical, can't we? And most business owners that I know, they're on to the next thing, aren't they? And we're always striving to achieve more, but it's just at times, I think, just stopping and reflecting. And celebrate as well.
Yeah,
celebrate how far you've come. Something I do with my clients all the time. Can I add a fourth one?
Of course.
Choose a great accountant, right?
Absolutely, I like that one. No, absolutely, yes, please do.
What book you said you read all the time. What book recommendations have you got for us, Helen?
I am still a Jim Collins Good to Great fan.
Ah, yeah, wow, what a book!
What a book! So yeah, I still talk about the bus. Everybody's used to Helen's bus. So I would say, and it's not quite a business book actually, but I'm a huge Brené Brown fan as well.
Okay.
So I'm a huge fan of Daring Greatly. So I do like some of her work around that whole vulnerability piece as well. So they probably would be my.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on, Helen. There's so many takeaways for people listening, and I really appreciate your time today. It's been good fun.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye now.